Tell you what, I really need to get my intake and piping done on my 21. Listen. Sounds so much better than my stock 450. That deep rumble and the exhaust brake actually sounds good. Engine brake. Doesn't do much, but it sounds good. Sounds so much better. Yeah. We need to get that taken care of on the 450 for sure. Hello guys, and welcome back for another video. We got a good one today, as you can tell by the thumbnail and the headline. But at the start of the video, you can see something is on the back of the trailer. It's the 450. Why is that on the back of my trailer? Okay, nothing is wrong with the truck. I got my first mod done to the truck yesterday. Can't drive two trucks at one time, so this is how I get around right now. You know, back and forth. It's an hour drive over here, just about 45-50 minutes over here. It's hard to find people to help you out a lot of times. Everyone's working, right? So this is how I make things happen. So I'll show you the mod as well. Woo! Fell in the hole. Because that is part of this video, but you guys came to see the towing. You probably came to see the mod too. It's a new fuel cell toolbox combo. I'll show you that after a bit. But we got to get this thing off, get the gooseneck off of this truck, get the gooseneck on that truck, drive an hour, probably 20 minutes, hour and a half, pick up the 8-ton, and then come on back with it and see how this thing does. I'm excited to see how it does. It's stock, so there's no intake, no pedal monster, no hot side, cold side, no Derringer, no airbags. So we're gonna see how this thing does with no airbags. And then it'd be cool to see how this thing does after all that stuff gets done, to compare it. So let's go. All right guys, so first thing I'll show you, a lot of guys asked about my hitch. This is a 30,000 pound rated 2 5/16, and it is the BW hitch. And this is the one with the handle, so you don't ever need to touch the ball and get your hands full of grease and all that to, you know, drop the ball in place or release the ball. You just use the handle, so your hands are never getting full of grease. So the toolbox slash fuel cell that I went with is RDS. There is a part number. There was a part number on the side somewhere. It's down here. I'll try to find it. So this is 60 gallon on bottom in the fuel tank, and then the toolbox on top, which I just have my hitch and the box kit for the gooseneck right now. But believe it or not, you will be able to fit quite a bit of stuff in this toolbox. And then we just use the Fill-Rite 15-foot hose. They made up their own hose. It's hooked up to auxiliary 1, powered right here. And instead of using the little anchors that come with it that would just end up breaking off, and you have to drill holes down through your box, which you can see down there, they welded these plates to the side and then used a tensioner and went to the anchor points on the truck. And then in behind, we did two 2x4s so it stays away from the bed enough that you can open your toolbox all the way. So this is nice and low profile. 60 gallons, nothing sticking up. You still have your full view out of your cab. And it's gonna be interesting to see if the camera will come on enough of an angle that I can still see the ball. Because when I had my tonneau cover on my 350, when it was in the last fold position, you really couldn't see the ball. So we're gonna find out when I get in the truck, pop the thing in reverse, put the camera on, and see if we can actually still see this ball. So I do have my Husky floor liners sort of in the way, but you can just barely see the ball right there. So, and even with the lines, it will help line me up, to be honest. I'm gonna try to do this looking at the camera and everything at the same time. All right, I'm gonna go out and see how close that is. All right, so all I gotta do is come back a couple inches and it's on. So yeah, you can still see the ball. It does help. The camera resolution honestly is not very good for, you know, how expensive this truck is. It should be a lot better, but it isn't, but it helps. So that should be it right there. Okay, we are loaded up. We're ready to get on the highway here. Empty trailer. The trailer itself's 9,000 pounds. Butter smooth shifts. Alright, enough of this. Enough of this baby footing around with this 9,000 pounds. Let's throw another 21,000 pounds on the back of this thing. Then we'll see how this thing accelerates. Alright guys, well we are loaded up. Now I will get out and show you where I put the load in a second. I gotta stop and get some fuel and get something to drink. But I will pull over alongside the highway. I'm going to give it a few kilometers to see how it feels on the highway, because I have it positioned completely different than what I do on my 550. Because on my 550, you know, that truck is built solid. It has like 8 or 9 springs. I got 19.5 GVW on the truck to work with. This truck is 14.5, no airbags yet. So I have the blade in the back and the boom in the back, versus when I haul with my 550, I've got the blade in the front, and I have it a bit more forward to get more tongue weight on the truck. So if I get on the road and I feel like the trailer is swaying a bit, or if I feel like it's sort of tugging at me, you know, trying to pull off the ball, then I will have to pull over and reposition it and put it a bit forward. But time will tell on that. So I'm gonna go fill up. I'll do my initial acceleration when I get out here on the road and see how it feels. As far as braking goes, it feels pretty good. It doesn't feel quite as solid as the 550 though. Okay. So of course it is in tow haul. Still very smooth shifts. I'm not on the throttle all that hard, and it's accelerating very easily. Power is not going to be an issue in this truck whatsoever, like not at all. Definitely need some airbags on this thing. That will be my next upgrade for sure, without a doubt. Will be the airbags. And then I don't need to be as picky with how I position the load, but I mean that still doesn't help with you know, where your weight is on your axles. But yeah, feels good right now, but let's get on the highway and see how this thing does out there. All right, so we're just getting ready to get on the highway. And getting on the highway, we have a hill to deal with right off the get-go. It's funny, I don't live in here anymore, but this is the same way that I started a lot of my videos in the past with my 2020 and my 2019. This exact same situation. But let's see how this thing does. My foot is not to the floor. I was going to hook up my data monster, but I was just too tight for time, taking it over the 550 and hooking up to this. But I can tell you one thing, I'd be going a hell of a lot slower right now if I had my 550 right now. Alright, we are up to speed. I'm gonna set it at like 70 miles per hour. I am going to keep track of my MPG while I'm making this trip, but I'm not going to right now because I am going to pull over on the highway and show you guys the load, how I have it distributed and all that. Right now it's not swaying back there at all. It's not really bucking me around too much. I honestly probably could have put it even further back on the trailer. and it would have helped with a bit of squat, because the truck is squatting. There's no doubt about that. It certainly is squatting. I mean, we got 30,000. Well, okay, so the machine is 20,800 pounds. 20,000. No, the machine is 20,300 pounds. The trailer is 8,800 with no chains involved and no thumb on the machine. So we are borderline 31,000 pounds right now behind this truck. So 31,000 pounds is what I'm gonna call it. I'll show you guys the numbers, because I know a lot of you guys are gonna say there's no way that's 31,000 pounds. But again, when I get out and I show you guys the load, I will show you the weights. It shows on the inside of the machine how much it weighs, and the trailer shows how much it weighs, because all you do is subtract the payload by the GVWR. But here we are coming to our first hill. So if I was just driving this truck, by, you know, not making a video, I would drop it to 8th gear. I wouldn't even probably use 10th, maybe on perfectly flat ground, but I'd be dropping into 8th gear quite quickly. But I'm gonna let the truck do its thing. Straight down to 8th, very smooth shift. We are still losing some speed. 8th is still in overdrive gear. 7th is 1-to-1. So 7th gear is where the real power is at. Now we're starting to accelerate. So it didn't drop down to 7th. So it stuck with 8th. And now we're accelerating. We're still going up this hill. Okay, up to 9th, up to 10th. We're in 10th gear climbing this hill. If I was in the 550, I'd be doing probably 70 to 75 kilometers an hour right now. We're doing 107 in 10th gear. All right, so that's the first hill. So now what we get to check is going down the hill, but we do have a slow moving vehicle in front of us. So going down this hill, this is Ingramport Hill. This is the big one. This is the big mamma jamma, I always call it in my videos when I'm going up and down this one. So we're gonna see how this thing does as far as holding me back, but typically, as typical fashion, we have a vehicle in front of us that's going slower than we are. So let's just see how this thing does going down this hill. Engine brake is on, of course. We just dropped to 8th. This is a very steep hill. We're down to 7th. This is the worst hill on the 103. Wow, okay. 7th gear. We are not speeding up at all. All right, I give you know, Ford a hard time for their engine brake because it just doesn't stack up to the Cummins. But, and I know the Cummins might not have to use its transmission as much, but that was impressive. That was very impressive. All right, we're going back up a hill now. This is where I'm gonna pull over and show you guys the load. All right, so here we are up the trailer. We have 21,160 pounds of payload. The trailer is rated for 30,000 pounds. The trailer weighs 8,840 pounds. So now, if we jump inside the machine, all right, so inside the machine, they give us this nice little plaque. Oh, I was wrong. So 20,000, so I can get you guys in there, 20,723 pounds. So 20,700 pounds onto the machine without the thumb, and plus 8,800. So yeah, we're over 21,000 pounds, but let's take a look at the load here. So like I said, typically I have the blade in the front and the boom in the back, but right now I've got the blade in the back and the boom in the back. Now when I haul my mulcher, I won't be able to do this because I can't curl the boom in tight enough to be below my height that I need with the blade in the back. So I will have to load the blade in the front, but for this I don't need to do that. And there's tons of deck space up here in front, like loads of space, but this feels pretty good. So as far as this setup goes, I think this is honestly the way that I would haul it in the future, is just like this. But so far the truck is doing very good. So in my mind, this might be where I keep it. I will tinker around with it a little bit to see if I can find a better spot, but this feels pretty damn good. So coming up here is the steepest, longest grade going south. So coming back, the biggest one is when we went down Ingleport Hill, but going this way, this is the biggest one. So see how this thing does here. Once it starts, actually I'm gonna drop it, there's 9th, I'm gonna drop it to 8th right now and just give it a fighting chance to see how it does going up this hill. So it is still losing some speed. We're in the steepest part of the hill right now. Let's see if it decides to drop to 7th. No, it's not going to. So we still weren't able to get 7th out of it. I pretty much guarantee that if I dropped that to 7th, it would have just taken off. But you can see way out there is the ocean. You can see in the mirror, it's a good long hill. So now I'll put it back up. In between that hill and the Ingleport Hill that I went down, this thing didn't drop out of 10th once climbing grades. Up to 9th. Now we're up to 10th. So I did reset my trip, and what I'm going to do is that now we're out of the big hill climbs now. We're out of the major up and down section on this highway. I will create a second trip and reset and see what we get for mileage on that as well. But I gotta tell you guys, I'm super impressed with this truck. If it hauled like absolute crap, I would tell you, and I'd be very upset. I would tell you, but it blows away the 550 in power. The 550 feels a bit more solid. It's got a much heavier suspension. It's got airbags. This will have airbags, and I'm very curious to see, like, once I get the piping done, under the hood, the intake done, and get the pedal monster on this thing, how it will perform, you know, mileage-wise, power-wise. It's gonna sound a heck of a lot better, I can tell you that from experience from doing it with my 2020. But man, going down grades, going up grades, just driving down the road, it's gonna be hard to jump back in that 550 again. All right guys, this thing did absolutely phenomenal. Phenomenal. The only thing it is lacking for sure is some help right here and a little bit of help under the hood, just to let it breathe, because it doesn't need any more power. That thing blew me away going up and down those hills, to be honest. I gotta come back here a little bit further so I can actually get my ramps down. That's the worst thing about these trailers with these ramps. They don't want to come down every time. But all right, so I'm going to get that unloaded, get the trailer unhooked. I gotta go up top and grab a couple things, and then I'm gonna use the tank for the first time. I put like 50 bucks in that, so I'm gonna see how that thing works. I'll show you the part number on that, so stick around to the end of the video to see the part number on that tank. But other than that, that's it. Brakes are nice and cool. Gotta like it. Got to like it. Alright guys, well that is it. Machine is back on site. Truck did absolutely phenomenal. A couple little changes will happen and the thing will be a freaking beast. It's already a beast, to be honest. Stay tuned. I'll try to get the camera just down inside to show you guys that part number. But until next time, take care, stay safe, stay tuned. Tons more to come with this beast.